Hey, my name's Kyle. I'm with Portugal the Man, and I really love making coffee. Over the years growing up, I've always been a barista. Most musicians have, because it's just a good job to go in and out of. I competed in a competition. I did very poorly, but I was one of 12 people in Washington State that showed up. And I want to just share with you my preferred ways of making coffee. I really like doing a pour over, which is just like it sounds. Same as like drip coffee would be putting some coffee in, pouring water on top. That's a pour over, where you have like an immersion process would be a French press, where you mix the coffee in and you let it sit for 4 minutes and brew that way. So that's just where those terms come from. Yeah, pretty much the basic tools you need is you're gonna need a teapot, some coffee of course, hopefully a burr grinder of some sort, either a Chemex or a V60. But coffee's pretty basic. All you're trying to do is extract it. So you got your grind, you know, if your coffee's going through too fast, make a finer grind and it'll go through slowly, vice versa, and that affects the flavor. And it's pretty much just down to a science between water temperature, weight. You can only adjust one variable at a time to figure out how you're gonna do it. So for example, I really like Chemex. It brings out a little bit more of the floral qualities in coffee. As opposed to a V6, which is the ceramic pour overs, which give like a very just true, no filter, doesn't mess with the flavor, this is what it is. But you'll see, because it has this pouring spout here, as you're making coffee with a Chemex, more air is going in this side, so it couldn't be considered a perfect cup of coffee. So the V60s that have ridges all the way around are to create perfect airflow all the way around to ensure a good extraction. So the first step we will do is we'll grab a filter. These are Chemex filters. They come with the Chemex. They are essential to the process of Chemex coffee. They were made by a physicist, and they're bonded filters, so they're incredibly thick. You'll have no soot at the bottom of your coffee. Like, I really don't like French press and stuff because like your last few sips are like spitting out, you know. This seems, I like a nice clean cup. It also takes every element that's bitter about the coffee and it makes it not bitter. So pretty much you get these filters. They're kind of weird. They're in a square here, which seems like a very weird thing to do. You fold it in half, fold it again, and then you open it up. When I placed it in here, I placed the thicker side where the spout is, because I was talking earlier about the air extraction, so that helps a little bit make up for it. And you always have to wet your filter. Super important, otherwise you get the taste of it. So I'm gonna drop the filter in. I'm going to just get it wet around the edges. It's good to do it hot. This actually serves two purposes. It gets the container warm, so you're not pouring coffee into a completely cold container. But one of the things I really like about pour over is you can drink it immediately. I hate when coffee is too hot and you can't drink it for half an hour. Like, I order it because I want to wake up, or, you know, right then and there. The next thing is we're going to go with the grinder. So it's kind of a weird vintagey one I've never used before. So we've got two kinds of coffee here. We've got one from Honduras and one from Costa Rica. I'm gonna try making the Costa Rican. In general, Costa Rica coffee is not very acidic, so it's really nice in the morning if like your stomach's, you know, before you eat any food. Sometimes, you know, straight espresso could be kind of hard, or all the acid. Kenyan coffee is some of the best in the world, but it's very acidic. So there's always just a couple, you know, key things that each of these countries have characteristics they each have that are different. I actually made a little bit of Honduras before. So this is called seasoning the grinder. I'm just gonna put in just a couple beans, grind them up, just to get the last of the Honduras out, just so we get clean flavor. You don't wanna mix. The next step, now that we're all seasoned up, is we are going to weigh out the amount of coffee we're going to use. So I'm gonna use my cup over here. I'm gonna tear out my scale. We'll go 35 grams of coffee. It's gonna make 525 grams of water. It's a good amount just for 2 cups. Next thing we're going to do, I'm gonna pour the 35 grams into the grinder. You can bring a bird grinder with you anywhere on tour, like even smaller ones than this, but it's kind of a workout, so I'm gonna grind this up over here. Whew! A workout. Alright, so now we got our coffee ground, and somebody was just asking me, so just to be clear about the different forms of grinders, this is it's a conical burr grinder. I don't know if you can see, it's a shape like a spiral of metal, and the idea with the burr grinders is that, I mean, you can just adjust them and it grinds the coffee, but it does it with the metal going together. See how it's not just perfectly fine, there's still like some little tiny chunks. A good way is if you put it next to like a quarter or a dime, you can get a good idea, but this isn't too bad. I might even go pinch coarser normally, but this will most definitely do the trick. The idea with the bloom is like, if you pour coffee at the base of a tree, it's just gonna go and spread everywhere. If I just soaked around the tree and I let it get wet and sit for a minute, then when I watered it again, it would sink down into the dirt as opposed to just going away. So that's the concept of the bloom. Coffee's just extraction. We're trying to get this coffee to extract perfectly even. So if I pour and it hits the side, it's gonna create a tunnel, and all the water is gonna go towards that, the easiest path it can. Therefore, you mess up your extraction, which is all of this really is. It's just extraction. See how I kind of poured in there a little bit? You can see the bloom a little bit. Just go in circles here. Try to avoid hitting the edges. Go towards the middle a little bit if you need to at the end. And then we got this 525 grams of water, and then for 35 grams of coffee. So we'll let this come down here. And coffee like this is very, very light. I don't recommend putting cream in it. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need sugar. When you drink some of these Kenyan coffees, they are so sweet. It almost tastes like there's sugar in it. But another thing that really messes up with coffee, with the cream and stuff, when you get really, really good coffee, in the same way that like wine has mouthfeel, like that's what you're getting when you do pour over 4 or 5 days after it's roasting and you do everything right. Like it literally tastes like silk when you're drinking it. And when you, after a couple weeks, you start to lose, you still get the flavor on older coffee, but you lose all the mouthfeel, just like the elegance to it, you know? So we'll see how this guy tastes, but I'm sure it's gonna go down real smooth. It's gonna be nice and light. It's gonna be perfect drinking temperature, which is another reason I like this. And then as it cools down, it's gonna start tasting better and better. You'll taste all the fruits and flavors. This is where we wait. That's exactly how I like it, just to drink it right away. Pour it into a cup here. Yeah, I really can't stress, if you're drinking good coffee, don't put cream or sugar in it. Very nice. We had to work for it too, so appreciate it. I hope this was informative. And if you make regular coffee at home, like a Keurig or something, I highly recommend you don't do that anymore.